Okay, today we will be reacting to his story. One of the fastest growing YouTube channels in the world. So let's.
Me and my brother followed a delicious scent to our neighbor's back garden barbecue, but when I saw the grill, I gasped. You! That's ours! We ran to bang on his front door. When he opened, we explained he'd taken our grill, and in response, he just laughed. Maybe this will teach you to keep things safe. We can call it character development. He slammed the door in our faces, and I turned to my brother. He wants the grill? Fine, but everything he cooks on it belongs to us. He raised an eyebrow, and I grinned. Meet me by the back fence, and all will be revealed. I ran to the garage and grabbed 2 fishing rods, and carried them to my brother. Check me out. When no one was looking, I reeled it back, caught one of the cooked patties from the grill, and dropped it into my mouth. When our neighbor returned to his grill, he frowned. A seagull must have stolen one of the patties. After that, he camped by the grill, so we switched strategies. My brother strolled back to the front door. Hey Dale, can we borrow some ketchup, please? And thank you. While Dale lectured him about respect, I swooped into his garden with my book bag wide open and finessed his entire table of hot dogs. I quickly jumped back over the fence, and when Dale returned to his empty table, he went red with anger, and I started throwing his food at him. He looked up at me with gravy dripping down his face. Give me back my food. I crossed my arms. Give us back our grill. He ignored me and put another patty on the grill with a huge smirk on his face. So I whipped out the fishing rod right in front of him, but instead of stealing the food again, I lifted him into a wedgie. He scrambled in the air to run away, and I started twirling him around. Now this is what you call peak character development. He was forced to watch as my brother wheeled our grill out of his garden and back to our house. I threw a hot dog into his mouth to reward him, and he smiled from how delicious it was. Worth it. Me and my brother. A woman stepped out of her house red in the face and marched over to my car, tapping her nails on my roof. I'd broken down just minutes ago and couldn't move, but she leaned in and screamed at me to move. I replied, "I'm sorry ma'am, but my car is broken down." But she cut me off and leaned through my window. "I don't care if it's broken down, just move right now." I stared at her in disbelief and told her slowly, "My car is broken down, I cannot move it." Her face twisted in anger as she kicked my door so hard the alarm started blaring. "Are you mocking me? Move it or I'm getting my boyfriend." She stormed away before I could respond, and her boyfriend immediately stepped out. "What's the problem?" he asked me. She pointed her finger at me before I could reply. "This leech is parked here. Tell him to move." I calmly explained my car's broken down. "Can you try turn it on?" I put the key in the ignition, and nothing happened. He shook his head and immediately turned to the woman. "Can't you see his car's broken down?" But she flailed her arms. "I don't know what that means. Just tell him to move." The man gripped his head while I started laughing because I couldn't believe this was happening. She instantly screamed, "He's laughing at us," and literally went to slap me, but he caught her hand. "No, he's laughing at you because you're being crazy." He exhaled, then walked back inside, while I rolled my windows up and called a recovery vehicle while staring right at her. The next morning later, I drove by the same house and saw her outside with boxes in her arms and tears in her eyes. The boyfriend was right there. "You're crazy," he told her. "That car breaking down was divine intervention because it showed me I shouldn't be with you." He slammed the door in her face, and when she turned around, she saw me parked in the exact same spot as yesterday, smiling at her. A woman stepped out of her house.
Welcoming summer with.
I sighed when my gym teacher dropped dead. It happened when we were doing push-ups on the basketball court. Mr. Sawyer was demonstrating proper form when he dropped face first to the floor. Everyone froze waiting for him to come back up, but he just stayed there. The whole gym lost it. The paramedics came and worked on him for 12 minutes, but nothing. They called the time of death at 12:33, covered him with a white sheet, and carried him away. We all got sent home early that day. The next morning, we were back in school heading to gym class when I walked past his office and saw him sitting at his desk eating a bagel. He looked up and said, "Morning ladies, go give me 5 laps around the track." Kids started panicking and running the other direction. Some fainted, and I just stood there too stunned to move. "You died!" I screamed. He took another bite of the bagel. "Oh that? Yeah, that happens sometimes." The principal called an assembly to try and explain it. Sawyer grabbed the mic and said, "I die. It's no big deal. Been happening since I was 12. Heart stops for a bit and then I come back. Just think of it like a really poopy superpower." Parents lost their minds and lawyers got involved, but the court ruled you can't fire someone for a medical condition, even if that condition is dying on a regular basis. So we got used to it. Sawyer's dead again started coming over the intercom like it was a weather update. We'd pick him up, carry him to the nurse's office, and finish class with a sub until he woke back up. He even started wearing a bracelet that said, "If found dead, just wait 10 to 15 minutes." One afternoon, he died during parent-teacher conferences, slumped over face first, right into his coffee. Mrs. Baldwin started screaming so loud you could hear it down the hall. I was there helping file papers, so I looked up and said, "He'll be back." She grabbed my arm. He's dead. Yeah, it's Monday. He always dies on Mondays. After that, the school put up a status board in the main hall. Green meant alive, and red meant temporarily dead. They updated it between classes like it was the lunch menu. Then came senior year and our final basketball game. 10 seconds left, and Trent had just hit a three-pointer to tie it up. We needed a timeout, but our coach was dead on the bench. So we did what Sawyer always taught us and adapted. Julian faked an injury to get the timeout, and we huddled around our temporarily dead coach and drew up the play ourselves, 1 by 2. When Sawyer came back, we were already celebrating. He looked at the scoreboard, then looked at us, holding the trophy. Did you win without me? Technically with you, I said. Just the dead version. He smiled. I'm in pre-med now studying cardiac conditions. My professor asked me why I chose this specialty. I told him my gym teacher died 47 times my senior year. Someone should figure out why he keeps coming back. I sighed when I was homeless and hadn't eaten in 3 days. But then I saw a sign saying, Mega Burger Challenge. Free if you eat it all, $100 if you fail. I had no money, but my stomach was eating itself, so I knew I had to risk it. I walked into the diner with shaking legs, but when I told the owner I was here for the burger challenge, he immediately scoffed. That's not for people like you. We both know you don't have $100. I was crushed and turned to leave, but then a waiter behind him tapped his shoulder. Frank, our sign says anyone can try. That means him too. Frank's jaw tightened and he crossed his arms. Fine. When he fails, I'll call the cops and it'll be one less beggar on the street anyway. The waiter led me to a table, and as I sat down, he smiled. I was also homeless once. I'll help you if the owner tries anything. A minute later, Frank personally dropped the giant plate in front of me, with 8 burgers and a literal mountain of fries. The timer beside it was already counting down from 60 minutes. Frank smirked. Don't fail, or else it's jail time for you. My hands shook as I picked up the first burger and started eating. I hadn't tasted anything hot in weeks, so half the fries were gone within 10 minutes. Frank stood by the register watching with his arms crossed, going redder with every bite I took. With 30 minutes left, the fries were done, and I picked up my last burger, ready to savor it. But that's when Frank marched over. New policy, I need a $15 deposit before you can keep playing. He slapped the burger from my hands and slid the platter away before I could react. My chest went cold because the timer was still ticking. You can't just invent rules midway through, please. I don't have $15. But Frank just laughed. I'm the owner. I do what I want. Now pay the deposit or I'm calling the cops. I patted my pockets with trembling hands, and my face dropped because I knew I had nothing. But then the same waiter from earlier appeared. He pressed $15 into Frank's hand. This man is playing. Frank's smile instantly dropped. His whole face went beet red as he closed his fist around the money and walked away. The waiter slid the plate back towards me, and I grabbed the last burger. I swallowed the final bite with 2 minutes left, then stood up, burped, and walked up to Frank. Mega Burger Challenge done. Can't believe it was free. The waiter smiled, and I walked out the front door, full for the first time in days, while Frank stared at me with his fists clenched, unable to do a thing. I was home.
My coach's wife ran out of
The teacher pointed at me during my first day of freshman year and asked, "Is your name actually Jennifer?" I nodded in embarrassment, and the whole class erupted in laughter. My parents named me Jennifer to honor my late sister who died in the womb, and I lived my life embarrassed by the fact I was a boy named Jennifer. A kid I didn't know yelled, "Hey Jennifer!"
Oops, this one.
The teacher pointed at me during my first day of freshman year and asked, "Is your name actually Jennifer?" I nodded in embarrassment, and the whole class erupted in laughter. My parents named me Jennifer to honor my late sister who died in the womb, and I lived my life embarrassed by the fact I was a boy named Jennifer. A kid I didn't know yelled, "Hey Jennifer, which bathroom does Jennifer use?" And I put my head down in shame. But then the door swung open. A rough-looking bald guy stormed in and grabbed the clipboard. He read the names of every girl, including Jennifer. "I expect to see you all at gymnastics tryouts tomorrow." I laughed at first because I definitely wasn't going to the girls' gymnastics tryouts, until I noticed something after class that made my stomach turn. Every girl was huddled in a group, shaking and terrified, whispering to each other. I've heard rumors about Mr. Johnson's gymnastics. Last year he hit a girl, and she's now in a wheelchair because of him. I gasped in horror, and that night I stared at my boxing gloves. I'd learned boxing to defend myself when bullies targeted me for being named Jennifer. I thought about how scared the girls seemed of Mr. Johnson, and realized that this time, being named Jennifer was my advantage. I walked into the girls' gymnastics tryouts next day, my hands shaking on my wig to keep it from falling so nobody found out. The whole tryout, I watched Mr. Johnson verbally abuse us. He shouted at the girl with a bad knee to jump higher, and threw his clipboard at me when I couldn't land a somersault. When a girl fell and twisted her ankle the wrong way, she was on the ground screaming in pain, but Mr. Johnson stood over her and yelled, "Back on the beam." He blew his whistle in her ear, and that's when I couldn't take it. I stepped forward, clenching my fists. "Get away from her." Johnson's jaw tightened. "She's being dramatic. Sit down, Jennifer." He grabbed my wrist to push me away, but I ripped free in front of everyone. I saw his face immediately twist in rage. My students won't embarrass me. He swung his palm at my head, but I ducked and threw 2 clean right hooks into his jaw. I heard a crack, and as he slumped to the mat unconscious, my wig fell off. All the girls' jaws dropped, realizing a guy had infiltrated their gymnastic tryouts. I panicked and explained everything, and one of them immediately dialed 911. Paramedics carried out Mr. Johnson on a stretcher, next to the girl with the broken ankle. I was fine. The next day during roll call, Jennifer was called, and when I raised my hand, no one laughed. The day before I was due to leave for my 5-year prison sentence, someone knocked on my door. I opened it to 2 detectives who were already inviting themselves into my home. "We have a job for you that can make your prison sentence go away." We sat at the table and he folded his hands. "We're trying to arrest a mafia group, but we don't have any evidence of crime." The other detective smiled. "That's where you come in. Wear a wire tonight and get the job on tape." He slid me a photo of a man that looked identical to me. "This is the guy they hired for tonight. None of them have ever met him. They only know the stories, so that's who you'll be impersonating." I nodded because I knew there was no way I could go to prison, and they taped the wire to my chest. "Great. Head over to the corner right now. They're waiting for you, James." I walked out, and a black van rolled up, and the door slid open. "KLK Manuel!" I walked in, and El Gordo in the driver's seat turned around, and his gold teeth were flashing. "Tonight, we kidnapped the accountant who stole from me. You in?" I rolled my shoulders back, forcing myself to seem confident. "Yes." Flaco leaned in. "Why you sweating, hermano? You've done this 100 times." Every eye turned on me. "I just slept with another woman last week, and I don't want my wife to find out." For a second, there was silence, but then they all clapped me on the back. "Classic Manuel," I smiled. "So what's the plan tonight?" They explained everything to me while we drove, and I made sure to throw my head back so that the wire could catch every word. The van stopped and masks came over the seats, so I pulled mine on too, thinking the police would be there when we arrived. But the second we stepped off the van, footsteps came up behind us, and a man stepped into the streetlight wearing my face. It was the real Manuel. He pointed right at me. "Who is this?" Every gun came out, and El Gordo went quiet. The real Manuel has the flags inked on his forearm. Manuel ripped his sleeve up to expose his crossed tattoos. Every gun swung to me, and the circle closed. El Gordo grabbed my collar. "Let me show you what we do to rats." Suddenly, the street exploded with light. Cops swarmed from every shadow and put everyone face down. The detective handed me the document that read, "This citizen is relieved from their status as a prisoner." "Nice work, Manuel." I shook my head. "It's James." The day before,
Sis, your boyfriend.
I never expected to see a video of my big sister doing something so shocking. Even more so, I never expected to see it on the big screen at a movie theater. I sprung into action immediately because on some level, I knew this was all my fault. The popcorn I was eating exploded out of my lap as I bolted out of my seat and into the theater aisle. Behind me, playing on the nearly 50-foot screen, was a video of one of my sister's most private moments. She was in her room dancing in her pajamas and singing both loudly and badly into a hairbrush. I could feel the entire audience cringe before small pockets of laughter started erupting in the crowd. On my way out, I passed my sister, who was so frozen by shock that she couldn't even begin to cry yet. I exited the theater and kicked open the door just behind it. It was the door to the projection room. Inside stood my sister's ex-boyfriend, an employee at the theater who was also a notorious narcissist with a vengeful streak to him. He stood at the projector.
We'll finish this, then that's all the time we have.
He gave me a sick stare and simply said, "You want me to turn it off? That's a strange request considering you're the one who sent me the video." I just stared at the ground because I knew that what he said was true. A few days ago, my sister and I got into a huge argument over who could use the car this week.
I want to skip this so bad, but I know y'all would love it, so.
Some steam in her usual way by blasting theme songs from our childhood and singing them as loudly as possible. My sister was many things, but a good singer was not one of them. In a moment of anger, I acted recklessly and secretly recorded her performance. Then I sent it to her ex-boyfriend with a message reading, "This is the girl who broke your heart, bro. How sad for you." Now my foolish actions had caught up with me. I stared into her ex-boyfriend's eyes and said, "Just because I sent you a video doesn't give you any right to do this with it. Take it down, now." Without blinking, he just whispered back, "No chance." I replied, "If that's how it's gotta be." I lunged forward and kicked him in the chest.
Ooh.
The wind was instantly knocked from his body, and he lay on the floor
Wow,
trying to get
smack him.
cover. I immediately cut the feed from the projector and made an announcement over the theater speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, the footage you just watched was an AI generation and completely fake. The scheduled feature film will resume shortly." I leaned over the ex-boyfriend while he lay on the ground, still struggling to breathe, and said, "Exhibiting private videos to the public without the subject's permission is a pretty serious crime, man. I hope the judge takes it easy on ya." I called the police and gave them a rundown before exiting the projection room. My sister stood outside of the doorway with tears in her eyes. She just looked at me and said, "I don't know what happened here, but it looks like you handled it. Thanks." She did and gave me a hug. After I explained everything, she was upset.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. Goodbye.